Welcome to Coffee from the Block from the House of Blockchain in Liechtenstein. My today's guest is Prince Michael. It's a big honor and pleasure to have you here, Prince Michael.
Thank you for welcoming me here, and I'm very happy to be here.
I mean, it's an honor to have you here, but for the audience maybe who is not very familiar with our small and beautiful principality in the heart of Europe, who is Prince Michael? Can you say some words about yourself?
Well, I'm a member of the Liechtenstein family, but I'm also a private businessman. I made a business career. I did some studies, and then I started the first 12 years of my professional life. I was in manufacturing, first with the chemical industry, and then about 10 years with Nägele in the food business, also with a long stay in Africa, doing about everything which the company needed. I then came back to Liechtenstein and actually developed in the financial services, service company, which is still my main business, which is run. But besides of that, I had quite a few interests. I started first about 12 years ago, the so-called Geopolitical Intelligence Service. This is not only collecting content which is not normally available on political matters, but also on economic and technological matters, because I was interested in that. Out of that, different things were developing. Out of these two pillars I had, I started to question things, wanted to get more information. One of my concerns was also that I felt inefficiencies in our financial systems, not only the political system, that anyway, but also in financial systems. So we created actually some roundtables where we have a group of experts around, meeting twice a year, 15 to 20 persons discussing on topics. We have one on politics, on global politics, and we have another one on the digital finance in the future.
It's very interesting to understand that you have a focus on politics, geopolitics on the one hand. You run a financial services company, and you're interested in our financial system and how it actually evolves. And I think it is, for me, quite natural that you're also interested in blockchain, and you do, or like you are actually supporting research in the area of why and how we innovate our financial system. And one thing I learned from you lately is that you also have something to say about why the financial systems need innovation. Can you give us a little more background to your thesis?
Well, I can. As an entrepreneur, I have seen that, let's say, our financial system is not as efficient as it should be. Let's put it that way. And then the question is, what can be done? And I was looking at it more as a user from outside, as an entrepreneur, as a user, and then thinking, where can we make improvements? Now, the financial system, it's also very political. So there are the political wishes, sort of the financing of states, financing of governments, and we see all these problems now, the financial problems of our governments. But the rest is also the good service to business and the citizen. Mm-hmm. And this was also not as good anymore as it was. It's expensive and in parts inefficient. And then the question is, how can we improve that? And how can technology help us to improve? Now, blockchain interested me already before, also from my past in the manufacturing side. I saw, for instance, if I take the food business, the control of the quality chain in a different chain. A blockchain is an ideal way of doing that, but also in transportation, organizing the containers, etc. I saw that this is an ideal system. Then I wasn't thinking in the beginning so much about blockchain in the financial system. It started actually a bit with Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. When in 2013 there was...
You started with Bitcoin in 2013?
In 2013, to be interested in
Okay.
it. To be interested, because there was the World Economic Forum in Davos,
Yeah.
and there was the then Secretary of the Treasury, Jack Lew, who is one of the most prominent persons in finance in the world. He used about half of his 45-minute speech to tell us how dangerous and how bad Bitcoin is. And when I heard that, I said, that must be interesting. And that actually gave me the access that I started to look at the old questions also of cryptocurrencies, etc.
Oh yeah, so then you were very, very early. But that was the time in 2013. Obviously, it was only the dark side of these technologies were seen in public mostly. And Liechtenstein is a very interesting financial center. How do you think Liechtenstein can stay competitive as a small financial center? Do you have some ideas what we should actually, or if we are on a good track with our innovation and how we try to support and foster innovation in our country? Are we on a good track, or is there room for improvement?
Well, there's always room for improvement. So there's always, and I think saying we are on a good track and leaning back is medicine for disaster. So there's a lot of improvement. We have certain assets. We have actually the stability of the country. We have a culture of thinking long-term and long-term in generation, which is the claim of the financial place in Liechtenstein, thinking in generation. But we also have to keep up with efficiency. Yeah. And we know that the financial system globally will change for a number of reasons. Yeah. There is a fundamental change which comes out of this whole debt problematic. Mm-hmm. It's also challenged by the fragmentation we have in the world. We need for business the globalization, but we have a political fragmentation. There are a lot of changes there which we have to adapt to. But also we have to be efficient, and we have to be cost competitive. And we are, let's say, an expensive place to produce and to give services. Mm-hmm. So we need good technologies to become more efficient. On top of it, the monetary system is going to change. And we see it with different new ways, the CBDCs, mm-hmm. or now since a week in the US where they go more or less in the backing of stable coins. Yeah. So there will be a lot of changes. Now, we don't know yet what will be the final result of that, but we have to see already and look at the different options we have to adapt to that, and therefore to stay a competitive financial center.
And you briefly mentioned that you are the initiator of the Vaduz Roundtables. The roundtables where you invite experts to discuss topics like this, as I understood. Can you give us a little bit more background about when did you start the Vaduz Roundtable, and is there any outcome you can share? There was one very recently. Do you also publish or use this information?
Yes, we do. First, we started actually the first roundtable we had. It was more on geopolitics. Mm-hmm. That was after the occupation of Crimea by Russia, and there it was a tendency to get together experts from political experts mostly, and also economic experts from Europe, the US, and from Russia, mm-hmm. to see what can be solutions, what can be options, etc. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it developed these discussions. Some of the outcomes of this first one were then used also by certain governments in which unfortunately failed Minsk agreements, etc. And then we started, I think it was 2018, mm-hmm. to do it on the financial system. We called it the Digital Financial System 2030. At the moment now we have to extend it because that it was 12 years ahead. Now it is already very soon.
We need more time to execute on it.
We have this, yeah, exactly. What we do is, so far we have then always done a paper out of it, which was then also very much appreciated by a number of central banks or the Bank for International Settlement, and also players in the market. The model was always in the digital that we wanted to have people from regulations, from central banks, from the banking, from the business, and from technology, and economists to get a holistic view of that. We then extended that we decided to make a magazine, a digital magazine, 10 times a year called Duckbugs, where some of these experts, and there's always a line, some of these experts give their expert opinion on it. And that comes basically mostly out of these roundtables. And this is actually accessible for for everybody who wants to subscribe it. Because we saw that is a valuable information and we wanted to widen the circle of people having access to it.
So you basically, you have this very influential and amazing experts at your Vaduz Roundtables, and then these experts and information and the knowledge you create are somehow condensed in that magazine, and then you make it accessible. Obviously, there might be things you cannot publish, but like the things which are publishable, you can publish.
Right. We do it under Chatham House rules, but the results we can publish. We sometimes take, because we have always for each magazine we issue, we have a certain line. Sometimes we have also to take an expert from outside where we have let's say a gap in the knowledge, but basically it comes out of the roundtable.
Okay. And do you, if in your opinion, I mean, you have on the one hand you discussed that you're also very involved in geopolitics, and like what geopolitical trends do you currently see which are shaping the financial world at the moment the most?
Well, we have a number one. I think the biggest problem we have is the general debt and overspending problem. And actually, this is not only a monetary problem, not only a financial problem, but also a general economic problem, that basically everywhere in the world, the role of the state in the economy has to become too big. That means there's too much control, so the overheads of the national economy is too big to stay really efficient. Now, there are parts of the world which have more of that, and then they get also less competitive. For instance, a big problem for Europe, that due to these huge overheads we are carrying in the regulations, we are not very competitive. This is one of the problems, but what directly comes to the financial sector is the big debt problem. That the government needs money, and more money than actually the economy can provide. And this is something which will haunt us over the next years. Secondly, we have a new thing. We have on one side the globalization, but on the other side the political fragmentation. And that shows also in different movements that there are certain countries who want to get out of this dollar system. We are living in a dollar system now, which gives, but also there's a big political influence on that. It has a cost for the US, but it gives also a big political influence. And there are more and more countries who want to be a bit more independent of that. That's why also the BRICS countries want to develop their own payment system, which goes away from the dollar. But they still have a liquidity problem in there, but it is there. So I think these are two very large movements which are actually a big challenge for the financial system. And the third thing is that we have to become, in the financial system, much more efficient, and I think we can only achieve that through technology.
And one of the technologies might be blockchain. I mean, there's a lot of research, and also, I mean, blockchain is used in a lot of areas already, sometimes nobody knows about it. And it was considered to be the low-hanging fruit, so to say, to use blockchain in the financial center, for example, to reorganize our capital markets, to make that very much more efficient. I think it's still a long journey. We are not there yet that we completely reorganized our capital markets. First steps into that direction. But it's good, and I think also Liechtenstein with the approach to adopt it very, very early to think about these technologies where we can actually use them. One of the, I think, still unique positions of Liechtenstein is that we have a tokenization framework. Is tokenization of assets something you look into with your fiduciary services?
So we do. Well, we look at it at the fiduciary services, also to get the services for our client more efficient. At the moment, we don't use it so far because it's not yet enough accepted generally.
Yeah.
But it will come, we are a little bit there in the transition, like around 1890 between the horses and the motor car. And I think we are still in this in this transition. But
we have the motor cars and the others are riding the horses still.
Exactly. We have the motor cars, and I think Liechtenstein, through also the legislation, has developed already, let's say, the road infrastructure that not only horses but also motor cars can go. And I think this is an extremely important thing. I think there's another important thing on technology is that we had always the state monopoly in money creation. And I think it would be very positive, also helping for the efficiency, if there would be a certain competition, let's say through, let's call it private monies, or technology-based monies, or money. At the moment, we have a money, the fiat money, which is actually guaranteed by the institution of the state, the central bank, etc. But I think it would be good to have a competition of something which is actually guaranteed by the efficiency and the reliability of technology.
Yeah, which we kind of have. Like, what's your take on that? That's at least the promise of Bitcoin, to base it on technology. I think there are challenges with that. Do you have a point now that what is missing, or what is missing to get like a large adoption of Bitcoin? We now see first states telling us that they put some Bitcoin in the treasury, and like that there is development in that direction.
Yeah, I think it will take some time. At the moment, Bitcoin is rather an asset class than a payment system.
Yeah,
it's not yet a payment system, and maybe Bitcoin might not be then the right thing for the payment system. But I think there will be, and that will be based on technology and probably on blockchain, there will be developing payment systems which and basic currency, underlying currency, which is based also on technology. I think we don't have it yet, but I think it will come.
Interesting. Do you have anything to share to the audience? Because I think it's for you, it's also important that people inform themselves about financial innovations. Do you have anything to share with the audience? What should they do now? Like, it's time now to get educated about the specific topic, or you already shared that the national debts is one of the main topics we have to look at, and the government spendings. Is there anything else the audience should be aware of or have a closer look?
Well, I think there's a basic a lot. I think you have to be attentive because there's the economic development.
Yeah.
You have to see also in the whole thing, where is it going? What are the needs? What are the basic needs? It's actually a very basic thing, but it needs constant development. There's the political influence on it, and there's a technological influence on it. I think you should, if you're engaged in finances or even in business, you have to be alert on this on this development, and they have all about the same importance. You can't just look at one side, a specialist, but if you want to be to have a picture that says an entrepreneur, you have to look at the big picture. You don't need to go into technical details because if you drive your car, you don't necessarily know all the details of the engine. But you want to have something, and I think that this will stay important. And we're in a time of huge changes. And I think also blockchain will change, for instance, all our accounting systems. Because actually, if we look at blockchain, we wouldn't need this old double accounting system anymore. You could do it in a straight line. And this is, and our brains are now so accustomed to the old accounting that it will need certain rethinking of it. Will also touch the audit practices and different other areas.
And I think for that, a startup culture is very helpful because they are not, like, as you said, with that perception and the concept we already use for decades, they're starting to completely with a fresh mind to solve a challenge or a problem we have. And they might not even think about how we did it in the old days, so they just come up with a new solution. And I think that is something where Europe can actually get better. We need more startups. We need more brave entrepreneurs to provide us with solutions. I have, as my final question to all my guests, because I'm a big coffee person, I would like to ask you, what's your favorite coffee, if you're a coffee drinker?
I'm a coffee drinker. I have, maybe I'm also a bit biased because I have a Nestle basis and a Nestle past. Sure. But, I could say something exciting like this coffee in Indonesia, where it's first digested by Kopi Luwak and so on. But that's not the case. Actually, my preferred coffee is the good old freeze-dried Nescafe.
Good. That's a very unexpected answer, but a very honest one. Thank you very much, Prince Michael, for taking the time to come here and share all of your knowledge and to give us a little bit of an outlook what is coming next and where we should actually focus on. It was a big pleasure to have you here, and I hope we will see you soon in Liechtenstein, maybe at the next Token Summit or at any other event.
Thank you. In Liechtenstein, you will see me anyway, but I very much look forward to the next Token Summit.
Thank you very much.